Hey everyone, it's Miriam with a Y. I haven't done a resin video in a while, but I got inspired after stumbling onto another artist's videos and seeing these. So the credit for today's project has to go to him. I think I read that his name is Michael. I am slightly obsessed with his channel. His videos are a joy to watch, and they come with a warm, happy accent. Now, just to let you know, most of his videos are realist portrait videos, so you have to look for his acrylic pouring playlist, but maybe if we all comment a lot on his channel and ask him to, he'll make a lot more for us. One of his recent acrylic pouring videos is probably one of the best overview introductions I've ever seen. He should have way more followers than he does. So I think we can all help him out with that and subscribe to his channel. I've put links to the channel and a couple of his videos in my description box below this video. Now onto the piece that he inspired. I've pulled out some watery looking blues for the ocean, and then these whites on alcohol ink and a fluid acrylic to hopefully color the resin for the foamy incoming tide water. And as per Michael's design, I'm going to add a couple of things to hopefully make the water sparkle just a little bit. He added glitter to his resin layer. To switch it up, I'm going to add a metallic paint and a little glitter paint to my underpainting, which, as it sounds, will be beneath my hopefully translucent resin to ideally give this a sense of depth. Like, I've never done this before, so I'm just winging it and crossing my fingers that it turns out pretty. So let's do the underpainting. I've poured out some of my blues to begin my underpainting, and I think that I'm going to start out with the lightest one just to figure out my sort of coastline, I guess, in a way. So I'm going to, I think I want it to be something like this, maybe angled more. It's not so critical that I make my decision now because I can readjust when I put down the sand and move the sand in or out. I'm going to add a little bit of white to this paint and give myself more of a fade into where the white would be. I want my underpainting to help me as much as possible. I'm going to leave some of this color on my brush while I start to pick this one up. And all I'm doing is stroking into the paint that's there. And I just realized I have to remember to paint the sides too. This is a canvas panel because I want something stiffer than a canvas because it has to bear the weight of resin. And I'm not going to have that much resin, but still, just in case, I'd rather work on a panel. And I think that from here on out, it'll be easier to paint toward myself. So I'm going to keep the canvas this way for the rest. And then let's go from this to this a little bit. Now that I've gotten most of the color down, I want to start sort of putting in some swirly motion to the color. Maybe introduce a little bit of lightness here and there. And then add a little metallic. I don't even know if this will show up, but we'll see. And then after rinsing out my brush of the darker metallic, I'm going to pick up a little amount of the glitter paint, little hints of glitter here and there, just so that when you walk by the painting, you'll see little glints in the water. That's kind of my thinking on that. So it's amazing how just one speck of glitter, I don't know if you've ever had this happen to you, like you'll have glitter on your hands and one little speck of glitter will land in a project and you can see that sucker from a block away. Because if the light hits it just right, so that's why I'm not going to worry about putting a ton, just whatever ends up on the brush. It is silly how much I love this, but I started thinking about it, and since I'm going to be adding shells to the sand, that means that we're not going to be seeing this much of a transition in watercolor. So maybe I went too dark. I don't know what to do, because I love this. I love the sort of gradation of color and this ombre look. I love it. Ugh. So I'm struggling with that because, well, you know, this is kind of an abstract. I can do whatever I want, right? It doesn't have to be realistic. So, I mean, it's going to be too radical a transition in color, given how close to the beach we're going to be. But you know what? It's just pretty. And I like it. So let's move on to the next step. So while my underpainting dries, I pulled out this jar of sand that I bought at my local craft store. And I know that some of you who live by the beach are thinking, she had to buy sand? That is so sad. Yeah, but I live in a Midwestern state, nowhere near water. So yes, I had to buy sand. It's sad but true. I think that's enough. If I approach this mathematically, okay, this is an 8x10 canvas. This is about a third of the canvas, so that's less than 30 square inches. If it was paint or resin, I would want around 30 milliliters of that. So, and that's about an ounce. This is a 3-ounce cup. I've got about a third, and I'm going to be adding glue. Okay, I'm good. Well, let's mix this in and see. I've just had this maybe good idea, maybe kooky idea. When I got this sand, it was whiter than I wanted, but the next color up was too dark. So I settled for this, but it's so pale that when the sort of foamy water comes up against it, I don't know that the contrast is going to be good enough. So I kind of, wish this was darker. So I'm wondering if I add some alcohol ink to this mix, if that could do it. All right, I looked through my colors and I'm going to try a drop of latte and see what happens. Do just one drop because you can always add more, but you can't take out what you put in. Okay, I think I can risk 2 drops. It's definitely working, but it can take a lot more ink. 6 more drops. It's still a little light, but definitely darker than when I started and more golden. So I'm just going to stay here for now because, this is the first one of these I'm doing. I don't know how it's going to go. I don't want to get too dark. But what I will do is make myself a little card with a little sample of this to remember how many drops I had to get this particular shade, because who knows, maybe I want different shades for different things. All right, let's spread this little guy. It's like spreading chunky peanut butter. The tricky part is doing the sides. And then the other important thing that Michael really stressed was that you have to make sure that you transition your sand, because you don't want a sort of ridge line. So the sand needs to sort of gradually taper into the water. So now, before the glue starts to really dry, I want to add my little extras. Silver dollars, and then I covered them in resin to protect them. But the silver dollar is too pale and not noticeable, but I have this really cool little starfish. So I want to put that somewhere, and then I also bought a little bag of tiny shells. I raided the base of a fake plant that I have, and grab little pieces that are kind of green. All right, so hopefully the sand is transitioned enough. We'll see how the resin goes tomorrow. It is the next day and the sand has dried. I'm going to be using my ClearCast 7050 for something where I'm going to be adding color to resin. I don't go to the expense of art resin because there's no need. This resin I've used for years. It never fails. It dries rock hard or cures rock hard, and I just trust it. To color the water, I'm going to use 3 different alcohol inks since I want a translucent or even transparent look to the water. So I'm going to use 2 Adirondack colors, Cloudy Blue and Sailboat Blue, and 1 Pinata color, Baja Blue. And I'll use the DecoArt Fluid Acrylic White to give the water that sort of foamy quality. I guessed 50 square inches. So I mixed up 50 milliliters of resin, and I am going to start adding color. Just 1, 2, 3 drops of white. Let's see how nice and opaque of a white we get. Another little drop. Now the issue when you add an acrylic to resin is that it shortens your work time. So what I'm going to do to keep that from being too much of an issue is I'm going to add acetone to that, so I don't have to worry so much. What it's going to do is thin the resin for me and give me the longer work time that I want. Because if I leave that much acrylic in the resin, it would start to cure faster than everything else, and we don't want that. And then a couple drops. Okay, I think I want to start by pouring some clear along where the water is going to start, because I want to blow some white onto the beach. I'm going to try to pour myself as thin a line of white as I can, just to start and see how this is. Well, before I add color, I think I want to start blowing. Now, I've decided to blow rather than use an airbrush or canned air because I want to be careful about this, so this seems safer. Yeah, I love the white there. That looks so, it looks so real. Okay, you guys all have to do this. It's just too amazing. Let us start adding different color water. And now I'm going to use a heat gun to move this around. You don't need to do that, but what the heat does is it makes the resin more liquid and it helps it flow better. It also is going to shorten my work time because once the resin gets warm, it wants to cure faster, but I'm all right with that. I realized I wanted a slightly darker blue here since I had gone with that darker edge down here. So I grabbed indigo. Now indigo, if you saw my alcoholic video, this color is insanely pigmented. So I have to like try to get half a drop of this so that I can get a little darker color out here. And then maybe, you know, a little bit in other parts too. And a little more clear too. And then now for the real fun is adding more white. So I'm just dispersing some white in various parts. And this time around I'm going to let the heat gun do the blowing. I didn't want to use the heat gun to get the water onto the sand because I want it to be more precise about that. But I think that out in the main water, I'm not going to care quite as much. More white. And then what I'm doing now is dunking the end of my stick into the white resin and just kind of just dotting the edge of the water, because usually right where the water hits the beach, it's really like a brilliant white right at the edge. So I kind of want to get that effect too. And now I'm just putting in really fine little lines of white coming into that clearish water. And then now I'm just going to warm this up so I can move this around and then make sure that the resin runs off the edge. And then I'll be done. And now I'm going to just run a stick along the edge to sort of knock off any drips by heating the resin as much as I did. I'm pretty confident there are no bubbles. And you know what? If there are bubbles, this is water, so that's kind of okay. Okay, all the drips are knocked off. The resin has run off the sides. I'm calling this one done. That's so pretty. I love how it goes from this glassy quality to this sort of gravelly thing. Oh, Michael, wherever you are in the universe, thank you so much. This was such overwhelming fun to make. Stay until the end to see close-up shots of the finished piece. I've put links to supplies in the description box below the video, and in the convenient shop I set up for you to find products across Amazon quickly. Thank you in advance for clicking on those Amazon links. They really help this channel. I think it's pretty obvious that I loved this piece, but I really hope you liked it too and enjoyed the process. I did a few things a little differently, but I'm already eager to try more variations and make bigger ones. Let me know what you think and whether or not you've done something like this or will give it a try. Leave me a thumbs up if you'd like to see more pieces like this, and remember to subscribe. This journey is such a fun and exciting one, and I really hope you come along and share some of your journey too. Make yourself a note to check out Michael's videos and channel too, and remember to subscribe to him. There are links to his channel and videos in the description box below. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Thank you for watching. I'm already looking forward to next time. Bye now.